started with a vision of a force more powerful than the world had ever seen. A service separate from all others, to dominate that which had never been controlled before. A vision for doing the impossible, for pushing beyond the boundaries of human imagination, where inspiration was found again and again. Men and women with the courage to dream, to challenge the conventional wisdom, the dedication to see the job through, their commitment to freedom, the sacrifice to ensure success. Of innovation, of compassion. Airmen standing on the shoulders of airmen. The legends of yesterday. The legends yet to come. To those souls dreaming of skies to conquer. So here's to the visionaries, the leaders, the warriors. Here's to the United States Air Force and to the vision of tomorrow.
August 1st, 1907, a new aeronautical division is officially created to take charge of military ballooning and air machines. August 2nd, 1909, the first U.S. military airplane is delivered to the Aeronautical Division. March 11th, 1918, First Lieutenant Paul Baer becomes the first pilot earning the Distinguished Service Cross by downing an enemy airplane. April 3rd, 1939, President Roosevelt signs the National Defense Act of 1940, authorizing the Air Corps to train African-American pilots.
It's been such a great experience performing here at Blueberry Hill. To think that legends like B.B. King and Chuck Berry have blessed this place has been unreal. I can't help but to think about how far we've come. I'm proud of the love and acceptance we've learned to show each other throughout the decades. Today, there are leaders and influencers that look like every little boy and girl, and I know that many before me couldn't even imagine that. The journey has not been perfect, but I'm glad to say that we've evolved. This song reminds us that no matter what happens, not to worry, not to cry, because we have a destination to reach, and I believe that we'll get there.
Take nothing less than the second best. Do not obey, you must keep it safe. You can pass the test. Just move on up to a greater day. With just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Just move on up. Move on up. Just move on up. Move on up. Yeah. Just move on up. Move on up. Just move on up.
I think that being an airman in the world's greatest Air Force is definitely one of the most unique opportunities, and there's nothing else like it. I'm just proud. I came up with the Air Force's 75th anniversary theme, which is Innovate, Accelerate, Thrive. The Air Force is 75. When you look at the Air Force for the past 75 years and where we are as a service, everyone that is in the Air Force and that will join the Air Force in the future has to be willing to be innovative. They have to be willing to accelerate through the change and thrive in the conditions that we have. I think to me the word accelerate means that we never want to let off the gas. We constantly want to be moving in the direction of change, and we can't let up. Along the way, as you're accelerating, we need innovation, and we need to develop new processes, new ways of doing things better, and in the midst of it all, we have to thrive.
It is the most celebrated aircraft on Earth. Air Force One. Air Mobility Command supports 2 no-fail missions, vital to U.S. national security. The number 1 mission is the nuclear mission. The number 2 mission is presidential airlift. These 2 missions are Mobility Airmen's highest priority. Air Force One and its subtle yet distinguished paint scheme, one-of-a-kind call sign, and ability to enable national interest through global transportation is operated and maintained by the Presidential Airlift Group, assigned to Air Mobility Command's 89th Airlift Wing, located at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland. The first flight of Air Force One was on January 11, 1943, when President Franklin D. Roosevelt flew to Morocco on a Boeing 314 Clipper. Roosevelt became the first president to travel abroad on an airplane as he flew to the Casablanca Conference. This record-setting journey paved the runway to a new age of presidential travel and the idea that a single military aircraft should be dedicated and reserved for this special air mission. In 1953, mid-air confusion over similar call signs between Eastern Airlines Flight 8610 and Air Force Flight 8610, which was carrying President Dwight D. Eisenhower, would change this special air mission forever. As a result, the call sign Air Force One was created and utilized anytime the President of the United States boarded an Air Force aircraft. In 1962, the first aircraft designed specifically for presidential travel entered into service. Special Air Mission, or SAM 26000, premiered the now famous Air Force One paint scheme and was the most technologically advanced aircraft used for presidential travel. SAM 26000 was just 1 year old when it carried President Kennedy home from Dallas, Texas, after his assassination. SAM 2 8000 and SAM 2 9000 have been in service since 1990 and have transported 5 active presidents across the globe. This aircraft and the airmen aboard were pushed to their limits on September 11, 2001.
There's numerous emergency action plans to take care of the president, so we had to go ahead and start putting those plans into effect to make sure that everybody was ready to accept the president and get him where he needed to go. So at that point, we started heading out into the Gulf of Mexico to make sure we could keep him safe and get him away from the airliner traffic. Shortly after, the president made the decision he wanted to get on the ground so he could talk to the American people. My thought process throughout the whole thing was to get him to an Air Force base with high security that we could land and I could have all the capabilities I ever needed. You know, there were 300 folks that worked Air Force One, but more important, there were thousands of military that supported us day in, day out that kept the president safe, that, you know, they're the ones that should be getting the big pat on the back and the big hug because they did everything perfect to make it look seamless for all of us.
Mobility Airmen are committed to providing safe and reliable travel, logistics, aerial port services, security, and global air-to-ground communications with the President, senior U.S. leaders, and senior military leaders. This capability provides the opportunity for leaders to communicate and build partnerships. the level of professionalism and expertise found in the men and women of the 89th Airlift Wing represent the very best of the excellence found throughout the United States Air Force. The men and women of the 89th Airlift Wing continue their no-fail mission. There are hundreds of maintainers, aerial porters, security forces, and communication professionals ensuring the perfect execution of the Sam Fox mission. History is made with every Air Force One takeoff and landing. And this is possible because of the dedication of the men and women serving Air Mobility Command and the United States Air Force.
when the night seems to say all hope is lost, gone away. But I know I'm not alone. By the light she stands. There she waits, faithful friend, shimmering stars, westward wind, show the way, carry me to the place she stands. Just when you think it might be over, just when you think the fight is gone, someone will risk his life to raise her. There she stands. There she flies, clear blue skies, reminds us with red of those that died, washed in white by the brave. In their strength she stands. When evil calls itself a martyr, when all your hopes come crashing down, someone will pull her from the rubble. There she stands. We've seen her flying, torn and tattered. We've seen her stand the test of time, and through it all the fools have fallen. There she stands by the dawn's early light, and through the fight she stands.
August 6, 1945, piloting the Enola Gay, Colonel Paul W. Tibbets and his crew dropped the first atomic bomb. 3 days later, a second one is dropped, forcing the Japanese to surrender and ending the war. September 18, 1947, the U.S. Air Force is founded by the National Security Act, which is signed into law by President Harry S. Truman. October 27, 1954, On this date, former Tuskegee Airman Benjamin O. Davis Jr. becomes the first African-American general in the Air Force. December 18th, 1958, the Air Force launches the first communication satellite into orbit. July 16, 1971, Director of Women of the Air Force, General Jean M. Holm, became the first female general in the U.S. Air Force.
I remember basic training here. We had to put makeup on, lipstick, and then they would say, and you will smell good, so we had to wear perfume. Women were treated differently than men. In the 60s, earlier 60s, when you got married, you had to get out. And then they changed it that when you got pregnant, you had to get out. A lot of the things that men could do, we couldn't do.
When I first came in, I wasn't able to do everything, and I always wanted to be a combat controller, and it wasn't open to women. The initiative, I think, as a woman in the military that I'm most proud of is President Obama when he was the president, and he lifted the restraint for women only being able to serve in certain career fields. And so now everything is open to us.
The opportunities that we get here are just tremendous. The whole inclusivity, diversion, we live by that, we are that. Women aren't just admin, we're not just secretaries in the military. Now we're able to join Special Forces, which wasn't a thing a couple years ago. We're able to take on that challenge, and if we don't make it, that's fine, but at least we tried. We were given that opportunity to give it our all.
I came in law enforcement, security police at the time, now known as security forces, and it was just a few years past having brought females back into the security side of the house. A lot of changes regarding having to fight for a position or a seat at the table as far as women are concerned. But I think women have more of a voice, more opportunities. There's still a long way to go, but I've seen a lot of growth in that area.
I think it's fabulous. Where we started and where we are now and where we're going, it used to be that we weren't even able to be recognized that we served, even though we served way before we were authorized to legitimately serve.
Recognize both the contributions of the women before us, the women that are here now, the need to make sure we continue to pave the way to make things as smooth as we can for those coming behind us.
The dream of a nation where freedom would endure. The hopes and prayers of centuries have brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let them say, oh, free. I was one who believed in sharing the blessings that I received. Let me know in my heart.
Before the universe began, there was simply nothing. Astrophysicists like Stephen Hawking believed that there was no space or time. Then there was a very special moment when time and space, energy and matter began in one singular moment. It is the theory that scientists call the Big Bang. Within the first second of creation, the universe was more than 17,000 times hotter than our sun, expanding faster than the speed of light. Then, 250 million years later, give or take a day or two, scientists believe the first hydrogen stars began to form, ignite, and become bright. Let there be light. From the origin of time to the creation of our planet, and from the beginning of life on Earth to our existence today, we have been explorers, curious about what lies beyond that next hill, mountain, or lake. From Africa to Eurasia, we traveled with the same curiosity. From North America to South America, we wandered with wonderment and awe. And in 1969, with that same curiosity and wonder, we traveled to the moon. From the beginning of our existence on Earth, our eyes have looked up at the night sky to see the moon. But on July 20th, 1969, two men looked up at the night sky and saw the Earth. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin stepped onto the moon. The Eagle had landed, and there was one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Putting men on the moon was an achievement made possible by the greatest minds throughout history. Our understanding of the universe is constantly evolving. "3,000 years ago, we thought that the Earth was flat. It was not until the 6th century BC that the Greek philosopher Pythagoras first suggested that the Earth was round. Yet even the great minds of Plato and Aristotle thought that the sun revolved around the Earth. It was not until the 16th century that Nicholas Copernicus suggested that the Earth revolves around the sun. It was another 150 years before Sir Isaac Newton defined the mystical properties of gravity on all things, large and small, including apples. 230 years went by before Albert Einstein better clarified Newton's law of gravity as curvatures in space and time. All of our knowledge is cumulative. It is the combined effort of men and women, past and present, that have enabled us to achieve great things that are bigger than any one of us. In 1969, 2 men stepped onto the surface of the moon, but in essence, we all walked on the moon that night. As stated on a plaque left behind, we came in peace for all mankind. At the height of the Cold War in 1962, President John F. Kennedy inspired and challenged our nation to put men on the moon with the following words.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Kennedy's goal of space exploration has not been without hardship and sacrifice. Brave and heroic astronauts died in the tragedies of Apollo 1 and the space shuttles Challenger and Columbia. President Reagan's 1986 eulogy to the nation mourned the loss of the Challenger crew with the following words.
They had that special grace, that special spirit that says, give me a challenge and I'll meet it with joy. They had a hunger to explore the universe and discover its truths. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye and slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God.
Since putting men on the moon, we now have an international space station circling our planet. Our cell phones connect us daily to the entire world. This as a result of our space program. The Hubble telescope, launched into Earth's orbit in 1990, has viewed into distant space, back in time to the beginning of our universe, showing us stunning pictures of distant galaxies. Our understanding of reality continues to evolve and expand. When looking at Earth from space, there are no national borders. Conflicts that divide people become less important, and it is imperative that we all work together to protect this precious, pale, blue dot in space that is our home. Planet Earth. We all share this world together. What we can accomplish is limited only by our imagination and will to act. In 1969, 2 men walked on the surface of the moon. It was one small step for man, one incredible leap for mankind. From the Earth to the moon and beyond.
June 18th, 1981. The F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first stealth combat aircraft, flies for the first time. March 25th, 1986, an all-female Minuteman missile crew serves on alert duty for the first time. January 17th, 1991, the U.S. launches Operation Desert Storm, flying more than 1,200 combat missions within the first 14 hours. February 4th, 2002, an unmanned aerial vehicle destroys an enemy target for the first time.